choir for very spirited selections this morning. And Lambert, deacons, for parts that they have played in this morning's worship thus far. Last week, as I was sitting here meditating on this last Sunday's sermon, God began to show me a picture in my mind of what it must have looked like as Jesus made his way into Jerusalem, riding on a donkey. And even a worldly song came to my mind, what a difference a day makes. We've read our scriptures, and the first one in Mark chapter 11 verses 7 through 10 talks about the triumphant entry into Jerusalem. And then just a few chapters later, in chapter 15, verses 13 through 15, it talks about what had happened at the end of the week. My topic this morning, praise today and hated on Friday. This is one of the most powerful and yet most tragic situations ever. We've seen Jesus now minister for 3.5 years. People's lives were changed by the miracles that he had wrought. People began to follow, and the crowds got bigger and bigger. Some were there just because of the sensationalism of the miracle. But I want to point out one thing that I cannot emphasize enough, and I know I have said it before, and I will no doubt say it again. One of the things that you need to understand is that all through the scripture, even in the Old Testament, God never performs a miracle just for sensationalism. God doesn't have to do that because he's God all by himself and needs nobody else. When God performs a miracle, he's performing that miracle for a couple of reasons. To cause someone to enter into a relationship with him, to encourage someone in the relationship that they have with him, or to cause someone to see the error of their ways. Now all you have to do is look at every miracle that Jesus performed. When he performed the miracle of telling the disciples while they were fishing, when he was choosing them, take your nets and cast them on the other side of the boat. Peter was brought to conviction. He had just been cussing worse than a sailor about not catching any fish, and Jesus had just told him, put your net on the other side. And immediately when the boat was filled, when they got the nets to the boat and had to get other boats to help, he kneeled down and says, Lord, have mercy. I am a wretch, undone. All of the other miracles, you'll find that after that somebody came to know him, or somebody's faith was made stronger. Remember the one that said, Lord, I believe, but help my unbelief. Needed to have his strength increased. So now we have, the crowds have grown so great that Jesus is coming into the city. They know he's coming. And he comes in riding a colt with coats put over top of it. And people began to strow palm in the midst of the path. It was like a ticker tape parade. And they waved us, those that they did not strow in the path, and cried, Hosanna, blessed is he that cometh in the name of the Lord. Now, the naysayers and the folks that were busy trying to find fault in what he was doing, they didn't realize that the people, unprovoked, were quoting scripture that had been prophesied by one of the prophets. They were saying the exact words that the prophet had prophesied over 900 years earlier, that people would cry, blessed is he that cometh in the name of the Lord. They missed it. This is an account of the closing days of Jesus' ministry, and his words have something to say to us today. Jesus is now entering the end of his 3.5-year ministry. Palm Sunday is not just a time to pick up a good luck charm. A good luck charm. Because that's what some people use this for. A good luck charm. Hang it over the mirror or the sun visor in the car. And it's nice and supple today, but let me tell you what will happen tomorrow. Just tomorrow, this will be brittle and dry. It's not a good luck charm. It doesn't ward off anything. This is just another symbol to teach the story of Jesus Christ. Like baptism is to remind us of being buried with Christ and resurrected with Christ. And communion is to remind us of the price that was paid for our redemption. This is but a symbol to remind us of how Jesus entered into Jerusalem before he would be crucified. We've got a couple of things going on here. The multitudes were following Jesus, and the crowds were getting larger just because of the miracles. And as I mentioned before, I have a problem, and I'm glad I don't see as many of them. I don't even watch some of these televangelists now. Because if they're all about just laying hands on folks and performing these miracles and stuff, and they've even got some folks out that now have little tricks that they pull by taking a clear glass of water and putting something in it and it turns red. You know, those are all tricks. And God doesn't need gimmicks or tricks to do what God is going to do. Amen. Jesus enters the city, and the crowds are crying, Hosanna, waving palms and throwing their cloaks down in his path and throwing palms in the path for him to ride over. Just as it was prophesied 900, almost 1,000 years before. But let me tell you what happened by the end of the week. The crowds of followers would be replaced by haters and mockers. His minister of finance would sell him out. And those who said they would give their lives for him would hide in the crowd to not even be noticed. Yeah. Peter, who told him, I will never deny you, he said, Peter, before the rooster crows, you're going to deny me 3 times. So as they followed in the back of the crowd when he was marched to Judgment Hall and was standing there at the fire to warm his hands, and they were looking for his followers because they wanted to bring them to trial too. Peter's back there standing, warming his hands, and the little girl said, he's one of them, he's one of them, he's one of them. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. And then the last time cussed at her and said, I told you so and so and so and so, I'm not. And immediately, the rooster crowed. And I saw a movie depiction of that one time And all Jesus did while his hands were tied was turned and looked at Peter. He didn't have to say a word. And he went off weeping and crying. Now, you've heard me tell the story. He really didn't do anything different than what Judas had done, only Judas got paid for his and then tried to give the money back. Judas couldn't handle it, and he killed himself. Peter went off and wept and cried, but because he waited until the resurrection, he had a chance to reconcile, because Jesus asked him after the resurrection 3 times, Peter, do you love me? Yes, Lord, I love you. Peter, do you love me more than, yes, Lord? Peter, I just want to ask you, do you love me? Lord, you know all things. You know I love you. And he says, okay. The same number of times he denied him, he was forgiven after the resurrection. I wonder how different the story would look if Judas had just waited for 3 days and 3 nights. His disciples hid in the crowd. No one would stand and speak in his defense. Left all alone to face the humiliation and death by Good Wednesday or Good Thursday. But wait a minute, Reverend, I thought we talked about Good Friday. Well, let me just explain myself here. Jesus gives you a clue. Because he tells us, disciples, says, just as Jonah was 3 days and 3 nights in the belly of the great fish, so shall the Son of Man be in the earth. Now, I'm sorry if I'm bursting your bubble. It was either a Good Wednesday or a Good Thursday in order for him to come up on Resurrection Sunday, the first day of the week. Because it's impossible to get 3 days and 3 nights between Friday and Sunday morning. Now, I'm going to borrow a school phrase. Do the math. Do the math. And so, here he was all alone facing death and humiliation. And the crowds that were in awe and hollering Hosanna on the first day of the week were now overshadowed by the haters who hollered, crucify. They thought they had won because Jesus was now facing the death sentence. So odd, because he comes in the beginning of the week with such awe and reverence, and the crowds watching because he had done so many great things, performed so many miracles, so many lives had changed. And here by the end of the week, they are asking for his death. And even Pontius Pilate says, why are you trying to do this? This man has done no wrong. And the religious leader says, we don't care, we don't want him. Give us Barabbas, a known crook. Give us him. And so, praised today, hated by Friday. And they took Jesus to crucify him. The story did not end there. And I decided when I gave this a title, I wanted to leave off the last part of the title. If I could just go back to the very beginning. Praise today, hated on Friday. Oh, but Sunday's coming. And I found out what happened on Sunday morning. Because on Sunday morning, he who had been praised by the lips of men the first day of the week, and then by the end of the week was 3 days. Now, I just want to pause to digress a minute. Remember I told y'all last week I don't like confusion, don't like drama, don't like fights, and all like that. But there's one thing I forgot to tell you. And this is the way I am, and I bet some of y'all are the same way. Back you in a corner, I bet you coming out. Now let me tell you what happened. See, they thought they had backed Jesus into a corner. They had backed him into the corner of Calvary. They had backed him into the corner of a tomb and rolled a stone in front of him, backed him into the corner. Satan thought he had backed him into a corner of hell. But let me tell you, you can't